Howdy y'all, welcome to I Like to Piddle. Got a project that's going to take a couple of days today, working on generator. We just had our first power outage since I moved here for about 12 hours the other night. And I had this generator, but it wasn't for, I knew it wasn't, it was just a storm. It wasn't going to take that long, so we didn't actually get it out and use it. If we were going to go for what we knew was going to be a day or suspected a day, 2-3 days during an ice storm or something, which we get around here, then I would have gotten it out and made sure it was going. But when I was checking it the other day, I noticed that I had a gas leak in the bottom of it. It wasn't holding any gas, and was also kind of messing up my shop floor where I store it. So this video is going to be removing the gas tank and patching that hole with some gas tank putty. And anyway, hope you enjoy, hope it helps you out. Alright, it's got 10mm bolts here and here. We're going to pull those and see if we can, once we pull those, if we'll be able to release the frame rail there. Looks like it may be attached there as well. Take all of these off. Oops, run out of battery. Fix that. Alright, that fits in there. Let's go ahead and pull these. I've got it tilted so the gas, I put a little bit of gas in it, and the gas is actually tilted away from where I'm working here. I'm going to have to drain it. See if I can get this hose to pop off of there without breaking it. Sorry you can't see that. I'm just pushing that hose off so I can take this off with it and not have to pull that valve. Alright, slip that right out. And you can see right here where my leak is, right there on that. So now, get the gas out of it. I'm going to leave it sit for a day. Then I'll put some exhaust gas through it to make sure that it's okay before I grind this up just a little bit. I don't want to grind on it with gas fumes in it because it might go boom. That would be bad. But I need to get that rust off of there before I put the epoxy stuff that I've got for it to go on there. Alright, I'm going to try to pour this through that paper towel there. Try to get any rust or grossness out of it. We'll see what happens here. Alright. Well, that's sort of working, but I'm going to have to pull this valve. I'm going to have to pull. Well, actually, I don't. Maybe I don't need to do that. Maybe I just need to turn that valve on. What do you think? Let it all come out at its lowest point there, if it will. Well, let's see what happens there. It looks nice and clean in there. Well, sort of clean. Let that drip out into the paper towel there, and we'll get the rest of that gas out of there. So I did some cleaning on this morning just after leaving it overnight. Looks like it's actually been, somebody's tried to put some stuff on it before and it just didn't last. So I'm going to take all that off and get it down to bare metal. This is what I'm going to use. It's this Permatex, but before I get to all of that, I'm going to fire up the truck and get some exhaust into it just to make sure that I don't have any lingering fumes before I start sanding on it. Alright, well, I got the exhaust in there. That's just to kind of take the place of any looks like there was a spot there maybe too. That one looks like it's holding. I'm going to leave it alone. Anyway, I'm going to use a flapper wheel here to clean that up. Looks like we've got several little pinholes there. We're going to seal all of them. Not sure which one was actually being the problem, but we'll go ahead and hit all of them, because they're gonna, if they aren't leaking now, they're gonna. All right, I've moved into the shop here. Get underneath the heater, so it's a cold day. I want to make sure that my epoxy is working right. And I went to work with this pick here, and found out that every single one of these little pinholes actually kind of goes through. They're all open to the inside, which shouldn't be a surprise. That they rusted from the inside to the outside. So if they're showing, then there's a hole on the inside. So anyway, I'm going to mix up some epoxy when this gets warm enough and hit all of this all over it. So that's the plan. All right. Following the instructions here, it says to wear gloves and clean grease or dirt off the surface, which the sanding did. Wear gloves, twist or cut off a required amount, mix by kneading epoxy stick to a uniform color. Mixing is difficult, warm it to room temperature or slightly above. Apply to the repaired surface within 30 minutes of mixing. So we got 30 minutes of work time. forcing into any cracks or holes to be filled. Remove excess material with a tool, moistened with clean water before hardening begins. When applying to a damp, wet, or slowly leaking area, work the mixed epoxy into the surface and apply pressure until adhesion begins to take effect. Fuel tank repair epoxy sets in 1 hour can be machined in 5 hours. Fully cures in 24 hours. Does not adhere to polyethylene or polypropylene plastics. Not intended for structural bonding. Okay, so let's cut a bit of this. Take that tip off of there. Let's just go ahead and unwrap that for a sec. And we're going to go with about that much right now. There we go. And set that aside for a minute. Put this back on. And yeah, I'll have to tape that up. On other stuff I've used like this metal piece just peels off and I've used it, but to cover it back up, that one's not being very cooperative. Got to get all that off of there. Don't want any of that paper in there. All right. There we go. We'll do some cleaning on that later. All right. We'll begin the kneading process here. This could take a while. All right, that's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty much one color. Let's go ahead and start pressing in to our holes here. Looks a little bit like chewing gum. Pull that nib off of there and set this aside. And, whoops. And let's just go ahead and I don't know how much machining I'm going to do on this. If it sticks and looks like a big lump of gum, I really don't care. As long as it stops the leak. Just want to make sure I'm pushing to get it to really get into those holes. Make a good seal around the outside of it. All right. We're going to let that sit and come back to it later and see what happens. Well, it's a day later and it is hardened up and is stuck, so we'll reinstall it. I can hear some rust moving around inside a little bit, so I'm going to see if I can vacuum that out. There we go. I heard it go that time. Get the appropriate hardware back onto these before I tighten them down. I apologize for the lighting here. This is sitting kind of in the sun and it may not show up real good on this part, but got to reinstall this rail, which actually also has the holes for the front two spots on the fuel tank. It's really pretty simple to put on and off. And we'll go ahead and get everything started before we tighten it all down. Alrighty. And hook up the hose. Alright, that feels alright. I'm going to turn that off, throw some gas in it, see if it leaks. something under there that I can see if it leaks on. And see what happens. Well, the project went just fine. No leaks to be seen, and the generator's running just fine. I've got to get a air filter put back into it, and then it'll be ready to go for the winter. And anyway, if you like this kind of stuff, click subscribe, and we'll see you next time on I Like to Piddle.